Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for all the love on my very first YouTube video. I was so nervous to post that very first video, and after posting and kind of reading your guys' comments, I really felt really encouraged to come back and do more videos for you guys. So thank you so much for your encouragement. I was actually excited to sit down and film this today, which I've never been excited to film a video before, so I'm excited. Today is going to be just very chill. I asked on my social media like a really long time ago. When I look at the dates, I think it was back in June, all the way back in June. I said I want to film a Q&A video. Send me your questions and I can go ahead and answer them in a video. And so that's what I'm going to do. Just kind of hang out, answer some questions. I have Evie, my kitty, running around, so you might hear her and she may come up and sit with me for a little bit. We'll see. But yeah, I just thought I would go through some of the questions. I had kind of some more business related questions as well as some art related questions. I'm just going to go through as many as I can and we'll see what we get to. But I thought about creating a new post and asking for updated questions, but some of these questions were really good, so I didn't want to just totally forget them. Okay, so let's jump right in. I'm checking out my questions on my phone here, so if you see my phone. Okay, so Amanda said, I would love to hear your process for getting prints made. So this is a good question. I actually use a couple different systems for my art prints. So for my art prints, for my free print offer, if you have found me already through social media, most of you guys know that I generally do a free print offer. The goal of the free print offer is to introduce new people to my work, so it's very inexpensive. The print is free, you just pay shipping and handling to get it to you, and that helps me to get my artwork out into the world and out to new people that might not have been in my community or seen my art yet. So for those prints, I have a local printer that I work with. So they don't specialize in art prints, they specialize in marketing material. But I've sat down with them several times and we have worked together to get a print quality that I'm happy with. So it's not technically like a giclée or an art print. It is an art print, but it's not on a textured paper or anything like that. It has a nice kind of matte, semi-matte finish, and they do a really, really good job making the colors really, really true to the original painting. So that's something that I really like about them. That is a high quality cardstock that I'm using for those prints, and those prints then ship out directly from my printer. I'm generally shipping out a lot of those, and so for those to ship out from my studio is just too much time for me to spend shipping every week. I'd rather spend time painting and creating new art. So those prints ship out directly from my printer, and like I said, it's a local company. I reached out to a bunch of the local printers in my area to kind of see if I could find somebody to work with. And then I have a couple different places online that I will order prints off of if people purchase off of my regular website, my full price prints, those I package and ship myself. So those are generally shipped to me and then I will ship them out. That's because I offer different qualities. So I do the cardstock prints, but I also do framed prints and canvas prints and things like that. One of my goals for 2025 is to look into some higher quality print options and potentially having a print company that will ship them out for me as well, but that's kind of in the works, something that hasn't been done yet. But I'm looking into some higher quality print options and some different paper options as well. So if you have a preference, if you like a specific type of paper, maybe you like a textured paper or a smooth paper, something more matte or glossy, let me know, because I am kind of in the process of looking into other print options. Hi, babe. So Patty asked, what kind of paint are you using? Oil, acrylic. So for me, I actually do a variety of different mediums. So I don't like to just stick to one thing. I've never been like that. Even in school, I tried like a variety of different styles and techniques. So I primarily paint. I enjoy painting a little bit more than, drawing or other mediums. But I will do acrylic painting, I do oil painting, and then I have a mixed media technique that I do as well, which is a mixture of acrylic and color pencil primarily. Some of my illustration stuff, I do a little bit of watercolors as well. And then Patty also asked, how did you get a job as an illustrator? Are you working in an office or remote? Is it possible to be a remote illustrator? I'm looking at this into a possible career path, which is awesome. So for my actual illustration jobs, I've actually surprisingly gotten most of my illustration work through the college that I went to. So I went to Xavier University in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we had a very small, kind of close-knit artist program, I guess, or art program. It was very small. I graduated with 14 other artists, and the secretary there at Xavier knows I am interested in illustration, and when people contact the school and say, hey, I'm looking for an illustrator, she will send them to me, which is amazing. So I've had most of my illustration jobs through there. I don't actively market myself as an illustrator, but I love to take those jobs like when they come around. So illustration is a little bit different than, doing my own paintings. The style is a little bit different, and you work closely with the author. So it's kind of a collaborative project. It's a little bit of a different thing, but I really enjoy it. So I take them when they come or when I have something available, but I'm not actively marketing myself as an illustrator right now. So I do work from my home studio. Luckily now everything is digital. I can even create work digitally on my iPad if I wanted to. I can scan in physical paintings and physical illustrations if I do them by hand, and we can communicate via email. So a lot of the authors that I've worked with are local just because they had contacted that local college, but it's really very flexible. You can definitely be an illustrator and work from home. I think most illustrators work from home, so you don't have to have a specific studio or something that you go to for that. Donna Jean asked, what is your favorite color? My favorite color is pink. My favorite color to paint with is blue and yellow, my favorite color combination, which you'll definitely see. If you look at my website, everything is blue and yellow. I have always loved that color combination since college. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. So my favorite actual color is pink, but I don't paint with it very often. Aw. Julie had asked Julie said, I decided I'm going to paint rocks. If I wanted to send you a rock, what would you like? Oh, I didn't even see that. I think I liked it, but I didn't realize, Julie, what your question was. She said animal, plant, sea, desert, mountainscape. Oh, I love animals. So this was back in June. So you're probably not still working on your same rocks. Maybe you're working on new rocks. But I'd love to see them. Yeah, feel free to message me or send me your work on social media. So Art by Eileen said, when you are asked to be an illustrator for a book, are you told what to illustrate or do you decide? What is your process for picking out what to include or not? That's a good question. So it depends on who you're working with as an illustrator. So generally, if you are working with a publishing company, you have a little bit more freedom in your illustrations. So the publishing company will send you the book and basically say, do illustrations for this book, and you'll send concept sketches, and you will then come up with the idea of how you visualize those words. So you'll get the written aspect of it, and then you will kind of expand on it. I have found with a lot of my work, I work with authors one-on-one. I've never worked through a publishing company. Generally, when an author is looking for an illustrator, they want to have more control over the illustrations, and that's why they're not going through a publishing company and they're going, privately to an illustrator. So like I mentioned before, it's kind of a collaborative process. So you will work with the author. A lot of times they'll tell you what you want, but it's definitely like a give and take. Like as an illustrator, a lot of times you have a sense of like how things are going to look on paper, and you can make suggestions. But there's definitely, it's not all going to be my ideas. It's going to be both of us together, which is really special. Like I really like that part of illustration work, is that it is collaborative. So an example is I did a little book called The Little Christmas Tree, or The Story the Little Christmas Tree Told, with a local author here, and I will put a little image up of the book so that you can see it. But in that book, there are little like hidden meanings or little hidden clues, things that were important to Valerie, the author. So there's little cardinals in there, and there's a piano that is a family heirloom. There was a shawl that was really important to their family, and so we included like little elements in the illustrations that maybe the reader won't really pick up on, but they were sentimental to the author and to her family. So I thought that was really cool to kind of add in almost like a little like Easter egg or a little like surprise in there. Karen asked, what inspired you to be an artist? So that's a good question. I don't really know what inspired me to be an artist. I've always enjoyed art from the time I was really young, and I was pretty good at it. And I think art is a learned skill. So I don't know if I was good at it because I enjoyed it, so I practiced it a lot, or if I was good at it and had some kind of like natural talent. But I always drew, but I never thought I was going to do art. I was actually a competitive gymnast all the way through high school. I was in the gym like 20 hours a week, and my whole world was revolved around gymnastics, and I love gymnastics so much. And I got to my senior year of high school, and I was like, oh, I can't do this forever. Like I wasn't good enough to like get a college scholarship or like go to the Olympics or anything like that. And so I'm like, well, I'm almost done with gymnastics. Like, what do I want to do? And a lot of gymnasts go into things like sport medicine or physical therapy. I could coach, and I was like, I really didn't feel like that's what I was called to do. And I was like, well, I've always enjoyed art. I'd like to go to school for art. And I had parents that were very, very supportive. They were like, if you feel like that's what you should do, then you should do that. So I studied art in college. I was homeschooled before that, so I didn't have a whole lot of art education. I had an art teacher who came in and taught us a couple times a month, but yeah, I had just had like very minimal art. And so for me, I think it was really important to go to college and learn those extra skills that, I didn't really have, like the actual technique of being able to paint. And then, yeah, I didn't pursue art for several years. I was scared to try to rely on art. It's really scary. There's that stereotype of like the starving artist, and I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. So I worked a variety of different jobs. I did work at a painting studio, and I taught some painting classes part-time, so I was still doing something creative. I worked at a jewelry store. I coached gymnastics. I nannied. I just kind of like bounced around. And really during COVID, like 2020, I lost all of my jobs. I was at home a lot, and I really started like painting again and getting back into painting. And I was like, man, I really want to do this. Like, I want to have the opportunity to work from home. I want to have a creative job. I want to be my own boss, and I need to figure out like how can I make that happen. So I think that's kind of a good segue into our next question, which JJ asked, how did you get started on your business? So in, what year was that? I'm trying to think. I think 2022. So it took me 2 years to go from that point of like, oh, I want to do art, to actually be able to do it. So I was still nannying, and I started teaching some online art classes to be able to be, still in the art world. And I still wasn't quite sure, like, how am I going to be able to do art full time? And so I found a book through social media, through Facebook, a Facebook ad actually. I found a book called The Artist Freedom Formula by Lloyd Cohen, and he was teaching artists how to sell art online. And I read his book and I literally was like, oh my gosh, this sounds like exactly what I want to be doing. Like, this system makes a lot of sense to me. It sounds like it will work. I'm just going to follow his system. And I actually ended up hiring him as a mentor. And now I'm part of his mentor program. I'm actually a coach in his program. I'm going to link his newest book in the description. So if you're interested in checking out his book, you can. But yeah, if you are an artist, I highly, highly recommend his book, because it 100% is like the push that I needed to go from creating art as a hobby to creating art as my full-time job. Like that, I would not be here without that program. This is a good one. Mackenzie asked, is there an art style you absolutely hate? There is not an art style that I hate, like, in general. There's a lot of art that I don't like to do. So I don't particularly love floral art for myself. Sometimes I do. I actually find it really hard. I don't know why flowers are so hard for me to paint, but I don't really like to do floral art. I don't really enjoy painting abstract. I like to do more like realistic work, but I really enjoy, as far as just like looking at art and consuming art, I like all types of art. I don't think there's anything as like wrong art. There's definitely things that I'm drawn to. Like, I like the more realistic or kind of romanticized work. William Bouguereau, the William Waterhouse, Alfonso Mucha, like those very, some of them are a little bit more illustrative, but a lot of figurative work I'm really drawn to, and things that kind of have like a fantasy or a magical kind of spin to them. So if you know of any artists that you think I might like, feel free to put them in the comments. I'd love to hear like your artist suggestions. I'm not super up on like a lot of modern artists, but I know there's so many people out there that do that kind of work that I'm interested in. Mackenzie had also asked, what's your favorite thing to paint and how do you get ready to create? My favorite thing to paint is actually figures. I don't do a lot of them because they're hard. They are really hard for me. It's very challenging. I feel like it takes a lot of mental energy to be able to accurately portray a human. You know, if I paint animals or landscapes, it's a little bit more forgiving, and so I tend to do those more often. But yeah, 2025, I definitely want to get into doing some more figurative work. It's also a challenge because I really have to have a good reference photo for a figurative piece. I don't feel like I can like just fake it or kind of come up with it in my head, because I'm just not that good at like doing that with figures yet. It is definitely a challenge. So sometimes it's hard to find reference photos that, you know, are copyright free. I don't ever want to like infringe on another artist's like copyright. So that can be a challenge, but it's something that I'm going to try to push myself to do more this year. And then how do you get ready to create? That's also a really good question, because as a business owner, I have like, I feel like two different sides of my business, which is the creative side where I actually am creating art, but then also the business side where I'm, you know, doing taxes and answering emails and trying to plan out my social media content, and it's two different sides of my brain. So for me, what I've been finding works the best for me to be really creative is the first task that I do in the morning when I get up, you know, finish my morning routine, get ready for the day. The first task that I do is my creative tasks. So once I jump into like, you know, building a website or answering emails or doing finance stuff, like once I'm in that zone, it's really hard for me to get back out of it to do something creative. So if I start with something creative, I also feel like I have like way more energy. I feel more productive. I'm like excited then to do the rest of my work. So if you are a creative person or you have a creative hobby, try it first thing in the morning. I know it doesn't work for everybody like with your schedule, but I find it makes the rest of my day go so much better when I start my day with something creative? That's such a good question. That's something I've really been working on. Christy asks, who or what has inspired you along the way? Teachers, other artists, locations, animals, pets. Yeah, as far as like artists, I think Maxfield Parrish, Alfonso Mucha, and William Bouguereau are my top 3 artists. Maxfield Parrish is an illustrator, and I like his style and his like the way he uses his colors. And they're all kind of figurative painters as well. I found my teachers in art school to be very inspiring. I find just going on walks, getting out of the house, being outside in nature is really inspiring. I have a lot of artist friends as well that I've met like throughout the years, and my artist friends really inspire me because to see what they're doing, and they all have their own like creative styles, but also we can like chit chat and brainstorm about what we're working on. Yeah, and then you guys. So my followers, specifically on my email list and social media, I asked for advice a lot, and you guys have the best painting ideas. I've done a lot of paintings based on the ideas that you guys have kind of like put out there for me, so that's always fun too. All right, and the last one here is Nikki asks, she has a couple questions. What is your favorite piece that you've done? My favorite piece that I've ever done is my moon goddess painting. I will put it up so that you can see, but it's a 4-foot painting, so it's quite large. It's a figurative piece, and that was one of the first big pieces that I did in 2020 that really got me back into painting. So I definitely want to do, like I said, in 2025, I'm seeing myself moving more into those kind of fantasy-inspired figurative pieces. Not for all of my work, because they do take longer, they're harder to do, but I want to be kind of exploring that part of my art process a little bit more. So that's something I'm hoping to do more of. And then, do you ever get artist funk? And if so, how do you get out of that funk to continue to create? Yeah, all the time. So I am not, which may surprise people, I'm not an everyday painter. So a lot of artists are like, I have to paint every day. It makes me, feel better. It makes me feel inspired. I find painting very mentally draining and very tiring because the type of painting that I like to do is always a challenge for me. That's why I like painting, but it's also like I need some downtime. I can't just paint all day every day. So because it is like a lot of mental work and mental exercise. So for me, taking some breaks, I don't paint every single day. And then if I'm really feeling in a funk and I can't think of anything to paint, I will generally try a new technique or a new style, a new color combination. I will purposefully do something different. And that has really helped me to be able to like get out of my funk, to mix things up, but it's also inspired like a lot of new directions with my work. So I last year was really experimenting with my mixed media technique, which is one of my like favorite techniques now, and that literally came from like me playing around in my sketchbook and me not feeling inspired. So I was like trying out, kind of playing around with the paint and the color pencil together and finding a combination that I liked. So give yourself some time if you're ever having a break, and then try something new to kind of like inspire your creativity. And then the last question is, do you have any advice for new artists that experience imposter syndrome? I think everyone experiences imposter syndrome. I still experience imposter syndrome. Almost on a daily basis, I would say. And I think that really shocks people to hear, because I am now coaching other artists about how to sell their art online. I, have been running my art business for 2 years now. I do art full time, and I don't think that ever fully like goes away. It's always a little bit nerve-wracking or a little bit scary. I think when you're putting yourself out there as an artist, you're sharing a big piece of yourself and of your creativity in your soul when you're sharing your art. So my advice is just do it anyway. Anytime I've kind of pushed myself and pushed the boundaries of what I felt comfortable with, and to try something new has always turned out really well for me in the long run. Like maybe not, the first time you try it, or maybe not the first week, but yeah, I think that growth that comes from pushing yourself, even if you're scared or even if you feel like an imposter, is really beneficial to you as a person and also to your business. So that's what I'm hoping, right now with YouTube, is I'm kind of pushing myself to try something new and do something a little bit different. And I'm hoping, it can help me to grow as a person and as an artist to be able to share this way with you guys. Maybe it will even inspire you guys too. That would be awesome. But yeah, I think that is the last question. I do have some more that I may be able to get to in the future, but that is all from the questions that that little question and answer post that I had made. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you don't mind, if you could like this video and subscribe to my channel, since this is a new channel, that really helps my channel to grow and helps other people to be able to see my videos on YouTube as well. So thank you again for your support. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you soon. Bye.